my father had been killed in a car accident when I was 22. And it was a horrible, horrible car accident. It was a head-on with a big wheeler, an 18-wheeler. And it was horrific. He was so young. He was 59. And I never got over it. Never got over it. And I always relived his pain, what it would have been at the end, because he had a driver. And my dad sits in the front always. And I was sure he dozes in the drive. And I would just relive that he dozed off and he must have opened his eyes and then this happened. I just would relive that pain because I know that they wouldn't let us see him because his skull had a big hole from something that punctured his head. And I would cry every time I would remember that, reliving that pain that caused his skull to be fractured and broken. But when I saw him, I had so much peace seeing him there. And again, he was a body of light. I kind of had peace with the fact that he didn't have that pain, like the comforter was with him. And he died and took a part of that. And I was standing there with him, with my dad, my mom, and my sister. And we were communicating. I don't know how. We weren't talking, but we were communicating. And then my sister said, "Come on, you guys, we're going to be late. We have a banquet with Jesus." And I was like, what? Like, she said it just as a matter of fact, so easy. Like, we have a banquet with Jesus. And it was like, we're going to see Jesus. Like, it was such a big deal for me. And with her, it was like as if they do that every day. And I was just in awe that I'm going to see Jesus. And they left, but I didn't follow them. Somehow I found myself going to another room. And I entered this room. At the end of that room, I saw the late Pope Kyrillos. He's the Coptic Orthodox Pope who had died in the 60s. I've never met him, but of him. He was a very humble, beautiful, loving Pope. It's just precious. You know, he reminded me, let me just tell you, yesterday we were watching the movie Gandhi. He reminded me of that humility and love and compassion for everybody. And he was there. And he's looking at me and he goes, "Where have you been, child? Where have you been?" And I'm looking like, is he talking to me? And I looked at him and I said, "Sorry, I've been going to Calvary." So for the last 10 years, when I was married to Sam, I don't know if I mentioned that in the beginning, he was Muslim and I'm Coptic. So of course my church would not accept us. So I stopped going to the Coptic church, but I did not stop my religion, Christianity. And Sam would go with me to Calvary. And we were going to Calvary. It's a non-denomination. There was no judgment there. And that's where I've been going. So I told him I've been going to Calvary. And he goes, "Why, child? Why?" I said, "Well, I didn't find acceptance and compassion in the Coptic church towards me. Of course, you know, in the Coptic church, we don't, you know, in your culture, we don't marry outside of religion." So he goes, "What is your name, child?" And it felt like it was a rhetorical question. And my name in Egyptian, like Ana Christina is my pen name. I had to change all the names. I wrote a book about my story, and I had to change all the names to protect my children and to be able to tell the story as is and talk about my first husband, my second husband, without causing defamation or embarrassment for my children. So my Egyptian name, and he said, "What does it mean, child?" And my name means compassion, because you're looking for compassion, and you are what we need, child. You are what we need. Hurry up! There is no time. There is no time, child. Hurry up! And he kicked me out, and he just kicked me out of the room, and I felt like I was being kicked out of heaven. I went down the corridor so fast, but I came back across. I saw the majestic chair again, but this time she was not sitting there, but I could see the veil lying on the chair. And I asked somebody, I said, "Where did she go?" And he said, "She's running an errand." And I'm thinking to myself, boy, they have errands in heaven. Wow, I didn't know them. And I kept on walking, and I just rushed out. And all of a sudden, I saw a face that was being revealed to me. And today, I don't usually share this, but I'm going to share the closest picture that I had of this face that was being revealed. And I'll show you how it was being revealed. Like, it was being revealed slowly. So I'm going to try to illustrate how all of what I was starting to see. And I was starting to see like a light in the forehead. And then
God,
his eyes. And then his nose. And then his mouth and his face. And I could see his face. And that's what I saw, was his face, Jesus. And that was it. And then I could see, all of a sudden, I could see the freeway where I lived. I live in California, and in Irvine. And there's two huge freeways that come together. They call them the Y. And it was the 5 freeway, the 405 freeway. And I saw this movement of cars, and it was like from where I was to where I came to see, the world looked very harsh and dry. It was so dry. And then I could see my bedroom. And I was in my bedroom, and I could see from the corner, I could see Sam now lying in bed, and he managed to get my body next to him. And he had his arm around my body. And I couldn't stand the fact that he was touching me.
Yeah.
My soul, as soon as my soul went into my body, I jumped out of the bed, and I stood at the foot of the bed in front of him. And I was still naked, but it didn't matter. And I was looking at him, and he was looking at me.
He was startled, I'm guessing, and shocked.
I wish I did have a video of his face. It's the expressions are indescribable. What he thought he did, got away with it, and here I am standing in front of him. It was just, it was great. It was great. I was no longer paralyzed. I was as strong as a horse. The paramedic said this woman is as strong as a horse. So much happened, but I want to kind of follow up on what Ariane had asked me about near death. With some scientists feel it's a hallucination or something. When I came back, and I came back so strong, and I was no longer paralyzed, was a proof to me that I had encountered a supernatural power and I have been on the other side, because I could have woken up and still been paralyzed. The amount of poison this man put in my food that night was horrendous. And I did a hair analysis 3 months later to try to find out what had happened. I could read you the police report. Do you want to?
Yes, if you can. Yeah, I would love to know.
I think I put it. Hold on. I marked it in my book. Hold on. And let me. Okay, there it is. Page 126. It was, so my lawyer at the time had asked me to go do a hair analysis because after I came back, so much happened. Like I said, it was crazy. I didn't mention anything about being on the other side, but Sam pretended to be the businessman, and I'm the one who had the nervous breakdown, and I ended up being in a mental hospital. They put me in a mental hospital and saying that I had a nervous breakdown. I ended up losing my daughter. Just so much happened afterwards. And I put all my energy trying to bring my daughter back. And my lawyer said, and I went to get a brain scan. I thought maybe I had a stroke. That's what caused the paralysis, and maybe he wanted to finish me off. But the brain scan, everything was fine. I went and I had a heart scan, and there was no heart attack. I thought maybe I had a heart attack, and he just wanted to finish me off so that he doesn't have to take care of a paralyzed wife. But that wasn't there either. And then my lawyer said, go get a forensic hair analysis to find out what happened to you. Because in the hospital, when they hospitalized me after all this, they didn't do heavy metal. They just here, they do for alcohol and drugs blood test to see if I'm alcoholic or I'm on drugs. I looked horrible after coming back, and everything was negative. But when I did the forensic hair analysis, the doctor wrote, I have received lab reports which indicate very high amounts of several heavy metals on her hair analysis, consistent with toxicity, possibly induced by poisoning. These abnormalities include a mercury level, which is 60 times the reporting limit, selenium, 69 times the limit, antimony, 49 times the limit, lead, 280 times the limit, bismuth, 40 times the limit, and most disturbing, barium at 2,750 times the limit. The symptoms she described, which were present at the time of her psychiatric hospitalization in January and thought to be psychotic in nature, were consistent with toxicity due to barium or perhaps mercury. And this test was done 3 months, about 3 months later, and still all that metal, heavy metal, was in my body. And doctors didn't know how I was walking, how I was functioning with bone poison, and I came back as strong as a horse. So that's just as answer to, if this was hallucination, I would still be paralyzed till today, and I would not come back strong like that.